All right, let's get into it. Today, we are talking all about Rocket Lab, a company that's seriously shaking up the modern space economy. And we're going to break down their whole business, everything from their rockets to their finances, using their 2024 annual report as our main guide.
So, to really get what Rocket Lab is all about, you've got to go back to the problem they were trying to solve. You see, for the longest time, the space industry was all about these massive rockets carrying huge, super expensive satellites. But what if your satellite was, small?
Right, that was the big question. Imagine you're running a small satellite company. Your options were, well, they weren't great. You couldn't just go out and book an entire rocket for your little payload. That's like trying to charter a 747 just to fly you across the country. Just didn't make sense.
So what did you do? You had to rideshare. You basically hitch a ride on some giant rocket. But here's the catch. You were totally at their mercy. You were on their schedule, going to their destination. It was basically a city bus for space, making a bunch of stops. And you just had to pray one was kind of close to where you needed to go. Rocket Lab came along with an idea that was honestly simple but totally revolutionary. What if we offered a dedicated launch, a space taxi, one you ordered just for you, that takes your small satellite exactly where it needs to go, right on time?
And this is that taxi. Meet the Electron rocket. This thing was designed from the ground up specifically for this small satellite market. It was built to launch often to meet the fast-paced needs of its customers. Okay, so this is where it gets really cool, the tech that makes the Electron tick. According to their 2024 report, they're using things like super lightweight carbon composite structures and these really efficient electric turbopump engines. Get this, they were the first company to 3D print an entire orbital rocket engine. And that little thing you see there at the kick stage, that's like the secret sauce. It's the final piece of that taxi service, dropping satellites off with incredible precision.
And this isn't just a cool idea on paper. This thing has a serious track record. By the end of 2024, the Electron had already notched up 54 successful missions to orbit. So yeah, this isn't some concept vehicle. It's the certified workhorse of the small launch world.
I want you to really think about this for a second. In all of 2024, there was only one rocket from a US company that launched more often than Electron. That's it. That shows you just how incredible their launch pace is, and it really cements their spot as a major player.
But here's the thing. If you think Rocket Lab is just about launching rockets, you're only seeing part of the picture. This is where their strategy gets really smart. They're not just a launch company anymore. They're building something way bigger. They've turned themselves into what's called an end-to-end space company. So what on earth does that mean? It means they can handle the entire process for a customer from square one. They can help you design and build your satellite with their parts, launch it on their rocket, and even help you run it once it's up in space using their software, the whole shebang. And the crown jewel of this strategy is the Photon satellite platform. Man, this is just a brilliant piece of engineering. It can actually act as the final stage of the Electron rocket, that kick stage we just talked about, and then, once it gets to orbit, poof, it transforms into a fully functional satellite, all ready to do its job. It's just unbelievably versatile.
And it doesn't stop with Photon. Their space systems division basically has a whole catalog of all the critical stuff you'd need. We're talking about the systems that pop the satellites off the rocket, the software that flies them, the solar panels that power them. They've really built out a one-stop shop.
Okay, so we've seen the tech, we've seen the strategy, super cool, but does it make money? Let's take a look at the business side of things, the numbers, the competition, all coming straight from that 2024 report.
And wow, this chart right here tells a pretty amazing story. In 2023, their revenue was about $245 million. Just 1 year later, in 2024, it shot up to over $436 million. That is a massive jump, almost 80% growth in a single year. And that growth is coming from both launching rockets and selling all those space systems. It's a huge signal that their big bet on becoming more than just a rocket company is really starting to pay off.
But they're not getting ahead of themselves. They're actually very realistic about the challenges they face. This quote from their own report basically says, hey, we're playing in a league with some absolute giants who have way more resources than we do.
And this really puts it all in perspective. You've got your competitors like SpaceX, Blue Origin, ULA. They're mostly focused on the heavy lift market. They're the freight trains to space. Rocket Lab, though, they carved out their own space and became the undisputed leader in that specialized small launch market. They're the taxi service, and that sharp focus has been their killer advantage. But here's the twist.
Rocket Lab isn't happy just owning the small launch niche. Not at all. They are building for a much, much bigger future. And that future has a name. Neutron.
Okay, just let this sink in for a second. Look at these numbers. Electron can lift 300 kilograms. Neutron is being designed to lift 15,000 kilograms. That's not a typo. That is a 50 times increase. This isn't just a bigger rocket. It's a whole new ballgame.
So why go so big? Well, the report lays it out pretty clearly. Neutron is being designed to deploy those huge satellite constellations you hear about, to launch ambitious missions to other planets, and down the road, it could even be set up for human spaceflight. This rocket takes Rocket Lab from being a niche specialist and puts them right into the ring as a direct competitor across a huge part of the space industry.
And that really brings us to the big final question, doesn't it? Rocket Lab saw a problem, they built a genius solution with Electron, and then they brilliantly expanded into a full-service space company. Now with Neutron coming, the question isn't just about small satellites anymore. The real question is, can this company take everything they've learned and scale it up to become one of the true architects of our future in space?